Hi, everyone. This is Amy Major with Spirit Rescue Talk again. I have Melinda Williams here with me today. She's actually a very longtime friend of mine. We've known each other for some time. She is a psychic medium and a rescue medium. Got to add that in there. A spirit artist, a psychic detective, a forensic detective, pet detective. She has so many different qualities, so many different skill sets. And she does have a class coming up, which we're going to discuss because I think it's something really, really great, something that people can really take advantage of. So we're going to introduce her now, get a little bit of background, and figure out exactly how powerful this woman really is. Melinda, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Amy. How are you?
Well, a little cold, but tis the season, right? We're not even Christmas, but it is the season for all kinds of things coming around. And just got back from vacation, and it hit me, and it's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh,
So, like,
that's usually how it happens.
it is and the kids get it first. I'm like, oh, I'm invincible. And next thing I know, I'm on the couch. I'm like, I'm not invincible. I can't do this. I'm worse
Right.
than the kids are. But when you and I talked, I thought this would be a really great opportunity for you to be able to come on and tell people a little bit about your history and a little bit what you do for your work, as well as the course that you're going to be teaching, which I read the synopsis on, and it's really great. It's really a wealth of information. So I thought we'd definitely discuss it on the show today. But can we start with a little bit of your history, how you got to where you are today?
We sure can. So basically, the earliest I remember seeing the spirit is around 7. And
Mm,
it was a traumatic experience. And I say that because spirit came to show me that I was sick.
mm.
And I did briefly die. And
Wow.
yes, so it was really something that really just started. And it was just like I came back and I would I was only 7, but I can so remember it because it was so scary to me. But at the same time, when I went into the light, I didn't want to come back.
Mm,
So, it's one of those things. So that's when it all first started. When I came back, then I was like, what was that? And then I started seeing more and more. And so then as I progressed up into my teenage years, I was raised here in Tennessee,
mm,
and it was something that was not accepted at all, just not accepted at all.
mm.
They took me to churches and wanted things to be done and to try to clear all of this away from me and all of that. And then what I ended up finding out only in 2010, though, I found out I was adopted and I am considered what is a lost bird. What happened basically is I'm Native American,
Mhm.
and I was taken at birth.
Whoa.
So when all of that started coming out and I found my real family, in the meantime of all of it, during the time I was 7 up until I found them, I was doing the work. I was doing things that I didn't really understand because I was like, am I the only one that can do this? Am I the only, why can't they see them? And then, they were really not understanding. So I had to shut it down. I could not practice anything, but I'd done it at school with my friends, that kind of thing. But then I moved to Arizona in 2010 with my husband and my 2 kids. And so basically I was working for a newspaper and I went out onto the reservation and I had to speak to this lady. I was trying to see if I could get her to do some ads. And she keeps walking around and looking at me, and I just keep talking. And she goes, stop. And I'm like, oh my God. And she goes, you're my daughter. And I'm like, this woman's
What?
really lost her mind. That's what I thought. She goes, you were born August 6th. And, she went through all of this stuff that there was no way she would know. And I'm like, oh my God. She said, come on. She says, we're going to get blood test. We did. It come back that she was 99.99% my mom. And she says, now what happened? She says, I had you in Winslow in the hospital with your twin brother. And I was like, my twin brother? And she goes, and you were jaundice. You were sick. They had to keep you. You only weighed 4 pounds. And she goes, so we had to leave you there for a week. We came back and they told me you passed away, but they could not provide your body. They could not provide anything. She says,
Mm,
in my heart, I knew you were not deceased. So then to make a long story short, so she took me out to our home, and we walk in and I go, who is that? And I pointed. She goes, that's your twin brother. I said, oh, Mom, let me tell you something. She looks at my brother, Ron, and she goes, what have you done? And I said, last weekend I was out on the reservation doing the rodeo, taking pictures, doing all of that for the newspaper. I said, and he kept coming up, asking me out. And I said, I was telling him I'm married. No. And I said, but he followed me around like a pup the whole time I was there. He goes, Ron, he goes, Mom, I didn't know she was my twin sister. I had no clue.
There
And
was a
so,
connection. There
yeah,
was a connection there.
exactly. So, and then that's when I found out my mom, she has the same gifts, my twin brother. But I only got to know her for 6 months. She passed away.
Oh,
And then my twin brother passed away in 2015. It
well,
was
that was a gift for her
yes,
and you, but a
exactly.
gift for her to have that closure before she left.
Yes. And before she passed, she taught me all kinds of how to incorporate the Native American into the gifts. And it's just taken off from there.
Oh, that is an amazing story. Probably one of the best stories I've ever heard.
Oh,
That's just absolutely amazing. I have a twin brother as well.
oh my
He never
gosh.
hit on me thing. God for that. But it's I find that so many of us do have twins.
Yes,
It's like our energy is so strong we have to split ourselves or something. There's
that's it.
something
That's what
about
it is, Amy.
that is such an amazing story. So when you found all that information out, did you like research the rest of your family? Did you see, what kind of gifts they all held, and did you kind of go in that direction as far as
Yes.
finding?
My mom, she was going along with me, was looking at this, looking at that. And of course, my mom would always say, we girls have more than the boys do. And that was a running thing with her. And, but yeah, so it did run down, and she told me that my grandmother had the gift, and then my great grandmother did. So it was really a long line. And, but it was all through, you know, they were all Apache, Lakota, and Navajo.
Wow.
So,
It does run in families. It is. I do find it is hereditary. My mom had it. Her grandmother had it. My
mhm.
great grandmother was locked in a mental institution for 40 years because she was hearing voices.
Wow.
So why do you think I'm so vocal now?
Exactly. We
You
got to
know,
run our mouth, don't we?
this is for her.
That's
But yeah,
it.
it does. It runs in the family. It
Right.
does on mom or dad's side. It really
Mhm.
does. Now, well, I know I've had quite a few people come to me asking me to work with detectives and the police. I'm hesitant to do so. I really am. Only because I'm so afraid that I'm going to be wrong and then someone's going to be hurt or we're not going to get there in time.
Mhm.
And I've had so many people come to me, and the little cases where they're like, oh, this person's been missing for 24 hours. I'll link in and I'll say, okay, they're coming home. Don't worry, they're about to give you a call. And it always usually happens that way. I think my guides slowly wean me into it because at my comfort level of, okay, Amy, you can handle this one. Because
Right.
I don't want to have these cases like that where I have to tell someone that their child is dead. That would be really, really difficult for me to do, having 4 kids myself.
Mhm.
And I honor anyone who can be able to do that type of work. I think people should. I think one of the hard things that a lot of psychics and a lot of mediums have is they get information, but they don't know what to do with it, or they don't know who to tell.
Mhm.
And will it sound crazy? Will
Right.
they be credible
Right.
for the detectives? So what kind of advice can you give to all the people that do receive information?
Well, I can tell you right up front, it's a very hard balance,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to say a lot. There are quite a few detectives, law enforcement, that don't believe.
Oh yeah.
They don't want no part of it. So what I always tell, like what I'm going to teach in my class, is go to a detective, not on things that you pick up at first. Go to them and say, let me work on a cold case, something that's 20, 30 years old. What's
Mm,
it going to hurt?
right.
It's at a dead stop. There's nothing I'm going to do to hurt the case. Let's see what I can get. You start out like that, build up the confidence in that detective with you.
Right.
Then that's when you get your foot in there. That's when you can start saying, okay, now I'm seeing this and on other cases or whatever's going on. That's the way I have always done it, because they're like, well, you're right. A cold case, it's not going to hurt anything for you to take a look at it.
Mm. And
So
you find most detectives are open to that?
not all, but there's more that are open to it than if it's a current case going on, just recent.
Right.
They don't want you in there. Most of them don't. And it's because, like you were saying, what if you are wrong? And, and that's happened to me. I have been wrong. We
Mhm.
all will be wrong. We won't get everything, but the little other clues that you get will lead to something else for them. So that's the way you got to balance that. You got to say, okay, well, I didn't get that, but you know what? I got that. So, and that helped them to go here with that. So you just have to balance it out. But that is what I would suggest, is to go approach a detective and say, give me your cold case.
Mm.
Something that's 30 years old. I'll work on it.
Right.
And once you establish that, then that detective will go behind you and he will say, yes, she worked this cold case. She gave me information, or he gave me the information that led me this way, which led us to this, and which closed the case. So, and we're just the missing link to help hopefully give enough information to help them figure out what happened.
Oh, absolutely. I know when I'm teaching rescue mediumship, I'm very anal about step by step by step and technique and structure, foundation, and
Mhm.
it really helps a lot of mediums to figure out, where do I start? Then what
Right.
next step do I do? Then what next step do I do? Do you have the same formula for the detective work? Like, do you have a certain way of doing the detective work or psychic work that makes it easier to flow?
Oh, yes. I'm just like you with that, because when we start it, we go through the ethics of it, the do's and the don'ts, how to get your foot in the door, how to do this, the things you do not say to families, because you will have families to come to you. And yes, you can work on them,
Mm.
but you never let them know, I see them deceased. I see them this. If you see something like that, you just say, please have the detective get in touch with me. And that's the way, but I go into this big spiel about it, but that's just the gist of it. And then from there, then we start using the techniques, all the different techniques, because I don't know directions, Amy. North, south, east, and west is like, Lord have mercy, I don't understand it. So I use a clock.
Oh,
So I go at 12 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, at whatever. And that's the way I operate. And that's what I teach in the class, because more people can get that than the directions.
mm,
And so I use essential oils. And a lot of people are like, really? And so there's certain essential oils that you can use
mhm.
when you go in to start doing this kind of work, that is going to even open you more, but it also keeps you grounded.
Oh,
So I use a lot of essential oils. I use herbs. I use a lot of them. There's different ones you can use. And because this one will do that. And this, like if I go out on a scene somewhere, say for a missing child or a missing person, there's certain herbs I take with me because I can burn that. And there's certain ones that the smoke will blow in the direction the missing person went. So see, there's a lot
wow.
of techniques, and that comes in from my Native American though,
I love
because
it.
that's what my mom taught me. So that's what I'm going to be teaching, is all of the different, and then once we get through all of that, and then it's practice time. So
Mhm.
what I start out with is I get cases that are already closed, that I already know the answer to. I know exactly everything about it. And I give it to my students, and then we work on it, and then we see what each person gets. And then we get together and we do this and that. Then we graduate up to cases that are cold cases.
Mhm.
That's, been cold cases for a long time that I've had permission to help, that we can work on them together. Then from there, we go to anything current. And we start looking and see what we can get as a collective. Because my biggest thing is I feel to work together. Imagine all of the information we could get.
Right.
And to me, that's worth everything.
Mhm.
So, and then once, because it's a 6-month class, it's going to meet once a week for an hour. Then once we get through all of that, then once that 6-month period is up, if they want to continue, and what I mean by continue is we meet maybe twice a month and we work on cold cases. When, we just see what we can get and we work together. Then I'll present it to the detectives, wherever, however, and then that will help to get your name out there, give
Wow.
you some credibility. So that's the process that I'm going to be doing.
It sounds amazing. I can only imagine, how many people would love to take advantage of that. It's so constructive and supportive for anyone who really wants to get involved in this work. It's like you lead them by the hand and they
Oh,
give them
yes.
all the tools that they need to be successful. And then you support them trying to get them out in the field.
Mhm.
That's amazing that you're able to do that. I
Well, to me, like I said, to get more people working on something, us as a collective, could you
Mhm.
imagine you could pick up something that I don't? Because I
Right.
don't pick up everything, vice versa. And so if we're all doing it, oh my goodness.
I say the same thing with rescue. We're going out, doing an indirect rescue, or even doing a direct rescue with a group rescue. We all pick up on different, variations of frequency and vibration,
Mhm.
intention. We all step into different energy clusters and
Right.
residual energy prints. So having different mediums will be able to give you more of a story. Or
Exactly.
one medium just reading a little bit of information. And I think it's wonderful. Now I gotta ask, just because you know who I am, doing the cases, have you ever come across any spirits that are in between that you've been able to help rescue?
Yes. There was one in particular, and it was my first one. And it
Okay.
was when I'll never forget. It was a little girl. And when she came forth, I was working on another case and it was in the same area. And so I seen that she was there. And I'm like, when I tried to approach her, I'd done it in a way to make it feel like it was playful. Because I always keep some toys in my vehicle and just in case. So I brought out this doll and I was talking with her, and the detectives, they were like, "Who are you talking to? We're not looking." And I'm like, "I got to do this. Just hold on a second." And so she had passed like 10 years prior,
Mm,
and she had been in a car accident, and it took them like 10 months to find her from a car accident, but it was out in the middle of nowhere, and she was ejected, and they had looked and looked. They had brought out cadaver dogs, everything, and they could not find her. And I'm just like, and so she started showing me, she wanted me to follow her, and she wanted to show me where she was. And it was the weirdest thing. She was in this, it was a round culvert like thing,
mhm.
and the impact of her body, she went in underneath it, and you would have never thought to look there.
Right.
And so, yes, she was been there hovering around. I call it hovering around because, she's there. She's staying in that area. She doesn't, the way she spoke to me, she didn't really leave the area much.
Mm,
So that was one of the times. And I remember it because she was just the prettiest little thing, and she looked like there was nothing wrong with her.
right.
And I was like, wow. And so that was one of the very first ones of rescue, because it took me a little bit to get her to understand and for her to listen to me. And I was explaining to her that because her parents had died in it too. And
Mm,
and I told her, I said, your mom and dad is waiting for you. And so, she was just like, she had been wandering looking for her parents.
right.
So that was the one that really stuck with me.
Wow. And now I know a lot of people ask, only because they don't really know, and maybe they're just being weird when they ask this. But since you're going to work with a lot of cold cases or a lot of cases where there's a lot of crisis around, do you ever see any spirits where they're covered in blood, or they're mangled, or is there any type of wounds all over them? A lot of people ask me, what does the spirit look like? Do they look all bloody, kind of like in the Sixth Sense movie where they have blood all over them? How do they present themselves to you?
Most of the time, they do present themselves like me and you know, they look fine. There
Yeah.
has been some incident, some cases where they did come to me in the way, especially if it's a murdered victim.
Ah,
Now, usually with murdered victims, I have seen like this one girl came to me and she was like saying she didn't kill herself. They was trying to rule it as not a murder. There was a suicide.
right,
And
right.
she's like, no, I did not do this to myself. And what had happened was, what the story went is that she was sitting in her chair and she took this, it was like an axe, but not an axe. So I don't know what it was called. And it was like in her head.
Oh,
And so she presented herself with that in her head.
right,
And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I have learned over the years is just be prepared for anything because
right,
you don't know.
right.
And so now, I'm like, they can present themselves how, and it doesn't faze me at all. And because I treat them as if I'm just like, you're talking. But that's one of the things, like I said, it's not been a whole lot of times I've seen that, but I have seen that before. And they presented themselves the way they died, but usually it's a murdered victim.
I've seen it a few times, and the way it comes through to me is like a memory, like
Mhm.
I'm having it as a memory. And when you're remembering something, it doesn't seem as vivid.
Right, right.
Someone standing right next to you. So you don't have all that intense energy of someone like having blood, or,
Mhm.
someone in a motorcycle accident when they're all, banged up. You don't see that. You see the motorcycle, you see the victim. They tell you, at least they tell me, this happened to me. They don't feel it throughout my body.
Right,
Spirits don't have the need or desire to show what they look like through the
right,
death process. It's almost like the spirit doesn't recognize that it's actually happened to them.
right,
It's more of them stepping back in their body and going, I feel like something just happened, but I'm not quite sure exactly what this was.
right. Yes, I've
Can
had
you
that
tell
before.
me what just happened? And we may have to see, unravel the story of what
Right.
it is. But personally, I've only seen a handful of things, and it's always been like over here, like a memory, like a
Mhm.
projection of illustration of what happened to the spirit. So it's never really bothered me.
Right,
Or
right.
seeing that type of thing as well. But I know you said you also work as a pet detective.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many people have come to me saying, oh, my animal's missing. What can I do? I don't do that per se, because one thing I find is that the mind of an animal is so different than the mind of a person. So
Mhm.
can you describe a little bit what it's like to work with the animals, trying to find any of those?
The one thing that in the people that I've mentored with and stuff like that, that's how I ended up doing the pet stuff, is because in the psychic detective, it all links back to psychic detective. There is a part in there that I will be teaching where we will do mouth dowsing. So basically, what I need to know, if someone says, okay, my cat's missing or my dog's missing, where's the last place you know they were? I need the address or the road name or whatever. Once I get that, I blow that up on my computer, I print it off. Then I take my pendulum and I will douse it. There's a certain way, certain motions you make. And I have located, I don't know how many animals by doing this.
Wow.
So that is something, because you can do that with humans too.
Oh,
But
definitely, definitely.
yeah, so with the animals, it is a different way, but at the same time, if you can douse them, and if they are deceased, when you're dousing, they will come through. You will see the picture of them. And the
Oh,
way I know if they're deceased or not is for me, if they're deceased, they won't look at me. They turn their head.
oh,
But
okay.
if they are alive, they look straight at me. So that's the way I know if they're alive or not.
Wow. Everybody has a way of receiving, and
Right.
the receiving is different for everyone. And that's another reason why I don't tell people how to receive.
Mhm.
Because if I'm
Exactly.
teaching them how I receive, I might be taking them out of their power or out
Right.
of their natural ability or their skills. So I
Mhm.
say, look for this, look for that, but don't necessarily look for it through my way of
Right.
doing this. Look through it through your way. What comes naturally to you? Show me what you got. And
Exactly.
you gotta let us do is good.
Love
What
it.
if it's wrong? I'm like, I don't care. Just give it to
Exactly.
me. Just give it.
Exactly. Because that's what I tell my, I'm like, okay, you say you get it wrong. So what?
Right,
We'll go to the next one. Who knows what you might get from that? You
right.
got to just keep doing it no matter what.
No, I know we met a few years ago, I think now.
Yes.
To tell people how we met and any information through rescue, hopefully I helped you with.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
sure.
Yes. Well, I had gotten very interested in that part of it. And I was like, that's something you hardly hear of. So I
Mm,
was researching and I found you. And I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. So then I had reached out to you and I was asking you about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, you were my inspiration.
oh,
I
thank
was
you.
like, she is totally amazing with this. And so, and that from that, it developed me to push myself, but I just went into a little bit of a different direction. But I do
Right.
want to study under you. That is one of my goals.
And maybe one day I'm going to study under you because you
Oh,
have
that would be great.
amazing stuff coming in as well. But you do readings as well. I saw you online doing a live the other day, popped in and said hello to you. So
Yes.
is that something you do often so people can kind of jump in and maybe get a reading?
Yes, I do them privately, but Saturday nights I usually go live and I usually do like really good specials and so but I do it every Saturday night unless I've got other things going on. But yeah, that's just to say thank you and let people see, I do other things other than psychic detective.
Right. Well, it takes this to take that to go to there to go to Jack. It's all connected. It really is
Exactly.
all connected. It's just a way of working those psychic muscles, which we
Right.
have to do quite often. We can't be there writing a book all year long.
Exactly.
The spirits be like, it's time to work. You're like, I'm busy over here. Go away.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know. So do you have any upcoming projects other than the course material? I'm sure you have a lot of stuff coming in over the next few years. Any ideas?
Oh, well, I'm putting together a lot of other classes and I am thinking, I'm not 100%, but I'm thinking about writing a book on psychic detective.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then I'm looking at hopefully doing some retreats and stuff like because one of my biggest goals is to hold the psychic detective class, get it all to a certain point and then say, okay, we're all going to meet here as in a retreat and we're going to all come together and we're going to go and we're going to work on this and have
That's
a case that we all could sit there in person and work on.
wow. That's really amazing. They do. Now you said your brother, your twin, was obviously intuitive as well. Does he do any of the work with you or does he connect the way you do?
He did, but he passed away in 2015.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But you had the
My
gift of
mom,
knowing him.
yes, and we got very close. And my
Oh,
mom, she had leukemia, and so it was a very rare one. She decided not to have any kind of therapy, and so I didn't. I wanted her to, but then I understood at the same time. And then my twin brother got it, the same one.
a rare one? They both got it?
Mhm. And then I
Hmm.
tested positive for it. Yeah. And get this, my twin brother, before he passed, he says, you'll be the one that will get through it. You'll be the one that will go into remission. And I'm like, no. I said, you can't leave me. I'm like, mom already did. And I said, I don't blame her. I know she was very sick and I get that. I said, but you're not going. And then he did. And The day before he passed, he told me, he says, you will get through it. So then I got it and I was like, oh my goodness. And then I went into remission.
Wow. Wow. You're just full of very interesting stories.
It's
I'm just life can be very interesting.
yes,
Oh
yes,
my goodness. And it's such a blessing though to be able to have that connection with them
yes.
before it happened. And you were obviously meant to live on the legacy
Yep.
of your family. And I'm sure they're honored, and I feel their energy very heavy right now.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
as we're talking about them now, and they're telling, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Does your brother
So,
have a lot of spunk to him?
oh
Because
yes.
I kind of felt like something. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, he
Kind of
was a
coming.
mess, let me tell you.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm sure they're like so grateful for the work that you do. They're honored. And it truly is an honor to be able to do this work. And I'm honored to know you for sure. How can anybody connect to you if they really are interested in learning more about your course? Can you tell us a little bit about the course? When does it start?
The start date is April 5th. After we get so far into it and say other people were to come, then I would have to start a second class, which I would do.
Right.
But it starts April 5th. And like I said, it's 6 months. It's a 6-month class. We meet every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Mhm.
And like I said, I've got it divided up into the first month and then the second and third month. And then, but it's going to be really an amazing, it's going to be a fun class. It's going to
Oh,
be
I
really
know it is. That's why I'm going to have it posted as well, because I absolutely believe in this class. I believe in everything that she does and everything that she can do for you if you really want to get involved in detective work, because it is so needed. It
Mhm.
is so needed to be able to not only work on the cold cases for all the people that don't have closure. That's so amazing for the people who get that closure after all these years, but then also work with the detectives on things that are more, eminent, prominent, living in everyday current society where people want to know what happened.
Right.
You can do
Exactly.
big cases, you can do small cases. It doesn't matter. They're all important.
Exactly.
Let's
Every
bring
one of them.
everyone home. That's what I'm
Exactly. One
saying.
way or the other, that we've got to give closure.
So, what type of website can people reach you at? Can they reach you here in Facebook as well, or
Yes.
YouTube?
I'm on Facebook under my name, Melinda Williams. I do have a YouTube channel that I'm trying to get it going, getting it up and going, and it's under my name too. And let's see, my website, I do have a website, but Amy, I'm going to be honest, I never can remember my website. Never, ever can I remember it.
I think it's the age. We're just like, yeah, whatever.
I'm like, oh, I don't know what it is. I'm like, let me go get it and I'll copy and paste it and send it to you. That's the way I do it. And but it is a Wix. And if you just put in my name, Melinda Williams, it should pop
Oh
up.
yeah, it
Can't
should.
guarantee it, but and of course, people's like, are you kidding me? Because I do give out my phone number because that's the way a lot of people contact me.
Oh
And
yeah,
and so it's the easiest for a lot of people.
right.
And because I do have a number for that. And then I have my own private phone that's just for
Mhm.
family and stuff. So I can give out that phone number, which is 480-364-3977.
Beautiful. Yeah, I don't, but somehow they find me and they find my number one way or another. And I get
Right.
messages at like 3 a.m. Like, are you Amy? I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
And see, that happens to me. So I'm like, well, why not just go ahead and do it?
Well, we're definitely going to post your information so people can find you, reach out for this course. I am going to have your course listed as well, so people will have all the specifics on that, because like I said, it is a really important course for so many people to get so much valuable information. But I find, because I know me, that if you can give advice and help people build up those psychic muscles and feel more reassured in the
Mhm.
information that they're getting, they're more likely to give it. They're more
Exactly.
likely to help. But it's like, oh, is this right? Did I do it right? What if I'm wrong? That's me. right
Oh, girl,
there. Many years ago, going, I don't
I can
know.
get you out of that real quick. I've got other students that are like, oh my gosh. I'm like, no, because there's things that we will discuss and things we'll go through. And then that's what you have to repeat to yourself when you start
Right.
feeling that. Because, okay, say you are wrong. Okay, so what? We go on from there.
Mhm.
That was something you wasn't supposed to get.
Right.
That was for this person to get, not you. So we keep going.
Oh, yeah.
So
It took me 25 years to figure it out. And
yeah,
finally, here you go. Here we go
exactly.
again. You're like, whoa, Amy, stop, stop.
Yes, exactly.
But if you can do it for people long before that, I think you're doing a world of good. I really do.
Exactly.
So I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. It's an amazing story. It really is. You know, you need
Well,
to write a book just on your story.
to
I
me, it was an honor whenever you come to me and we were talking and you said you would do this. I was, oh my gosh, my inspiration. She is, oh my gosh. But I mean, it just sent, I was just hollering and telling everybody, do you know what? And so I really want to thank you for doing this for me.
Yeah, we are all in it together.
Yes,
Really are. We're all one big team. So
we are.
thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, you're
It's
very
awesome
welcome.
to have you here. And thank you to all of you for coming on and watching the video. If please reach out to Melinda if you'd like to take her course, reach out to me. I'll have all the information for you as well. And again, reach out if you have any questions about Spirit Rescue. You know I'm here. Talk to you later. Bye.